All right, we are going through another section, focus on homeostasis. Again, we could easily have read the memo, so we're trying to read for understanding so that if any question that is similar to this ever shows up, we are guaranteed to always get it right. All right, so in the diagram below, it represents some structures involved in homeostasis in the human body. Let's first identify what is happening in the diagram, which, if we had minimal studying, we should be able to answer it with a little bit of our understanding. All right, so we have a brain and we have something pointing at A. We understand that in the brain, especially when we're speaking on homeostasis, we only ever speak of our hypothalamus and our pituitary gland, right? Then we have something pointing on to the arm of the person, then labeling something C and labeling something else B, and then it's written there part of the skin. We then have something also labeled underneath what we believe would be the stomach at D. And then we have something labeled at E and same something labeled at F. All right. So what always is nice, and I would say, is always go into your diagram and identify as many things in your diagram. Most of the time you'll be incorrect, but the questions will lead you otherwise. But sometimes when you understand what's in the diagram, it just makes it easier to answer. So let's go through A. Could be a hypothalamus if we're obviously thinking of the main gland for sending out like the regulation for our hormones. We see C and B are definitely capillaries underneath, like a sweat gland or just like blood vessels, but it's something in the skin. We're not sure, but it's something in the skin. D looks like our pancreas. It's shaped like a P, like our pancreas. We see that E could be our kidneys and F could be our adrenal glands, all right? So let's see. Write down the letters of the part that served as endocrine glands only. So again, we are trying to remember that endocrine glands are ones that secrete their hormones directly into the bloodstream and not, so let me write that endocrine goes into the bloodstream. Into the bloodstream, whereas exocrine go through a duct, so it exits through a duct. All right, so the first one will definitely be our first endocrine, which is not our first endocrine, but our master gland, the one that normally sends most of our messages, which would be our hypothalamus. So that would be letter A. So let's do 1.5.1. So that would be A, our hypothalamus. Then you remember that everywhere the hypothalamus acts, that place could possibly just be stimulated by that gland. So again, if we go through A was B, we're not even sure what's happening at B and C. D has exocrine glands, okay, so we must know they definitely have some exocrine glands. E has exocrine glands because it has like ducts definitely. But another one is F. So F is adrenal gland because it can also from it secretes hormones directly into the bloodstream. So we're going to do A and F. 1.5.2. Give the letters and names of the parts responsible for the regulation of blood temperature. Okay. So the regulation of blood temperature happens at our skin. So if we remember, responsible for regulation of blood temperature, we would either have sweat glands to like that being stimulated to cool off the skin. Also, if our skin is too cold, we then have vasoconstriction or our blood vessels becoming smaller. So that part of the skin there, that C and B, can be used for regulation of temperature, all right? Name the following with regard to the regulation of water content in the body. Okay, so they're telling it to you. It's a hormone secreted by part A. So what is secreted by part A that helps with water? So again, part A, you don't know. It could be hypothalamus, it could be pituitary gland, but I know it's a hormone that has to do with water. But water is a diuretic. All right, so then now water is a diuretic. If you go back and try to think of whenever you heard in class something about diuretic, we know we have our anti-diuretic hormone. Okay, also known as our ADH, antidiuretic hormone. 1.5.3 still. This was A. This is B. Target organ E. So you must remember, name the following which you're going to do. So they are talking about water, but now they're just asking what is the organ E. So obviously we did label that previously, that E was our kidney. All right. So yeah, so a little bit of homeostasis. So if again, we just want to recap homeostasis, you want a really cool way to study it. Remember that you must start at the brain. So remember, go through your hypothalamus and the hormones it secretes. Then the pituitary gland and all the hormones they secrete. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then go into each target organ. And other organs. All right, so an example like we just did right now was our antidiuretic hormone, which comes obviously from the brain. But as you study the target organ for our ADH, then study, is there another hormone that's coming from somewhere else that could also help the regulation of water or help in the homeostasis of water? So those were two nice aspects as you're kind of drawing up through, just so you have a good understanding of homeostasis, and then obviously remembering the importance of exocrine and endocrine glands. Most of the glands are exocrine in nature, and then very few places, obviously the places that have multiple roles, you would see an endocrine function because that organ would be performing one or two functions.